Hello friends, sorry my phone ran out of space in the previous episode. So episode number 16, this is it. I went to my auntie to receive the money that dad had requested that I be given. My auntie was so mad at me and she said, "We have left you in the hands of God, but know that we are not at peace in everything that you are about to do." And you know, my auntie came to the wedding. And in that part of the pastor asking if there is anyone with a contrary opinion, you all know that. I saw my auntie looking round. She was looking around if there was anyone. And I was like, oh my goodness, what maturity. She herself has a problem with this wedding. And yet she's looking around to see if there is anyone who is saying no to me getting married. I saw maturity that day. And I told God, oh my God, preserve me. Because I was not at peace. I was scared because I had gone into this without the blessings of so many people. It is well. So we continue with the letter. The last part of the letter was, you encouraged me that the marriage experience was the best experience that we could receive. What a lie. April the 6th came, the day I had kept myself for. All my life, I had never played around with men, knowing too well that I would get married a clean girl. By the way, I celebrate God for that. That was not my effort alone. It was a partnership with the Lord. So I walked down the aisle, a clean girl. MOG, you can confirm that. During the wedding, we received cash gifts amounting to almost 100,000 shillings, plus or minus. This is supposed to be the couple's money to enjoy themselves during the honeymoon and onwards. That evening, as I was changing my gown, you told me, like you had done before, that God had said, that you had promised God that 15% of the money would go back to Him as thanksgiving. But remember, I had not agreed to that because this is money that we budget together. And I had told God, yes, I love giving you, Lord, but I'm not ready for this 15% to go back to you as thanksgiving because number one, we had not agreed with you. So that evening, you reiterated on that fact, and you said that 15% was to go to prophetess. So you said she was to have the money. I was shocked to see that she sat there. She was looking at us and watching as we counted the money. And out of the 90,000 that we had been given, 90 to 100,000, we were left with less than 50,000. This is the money we are supposed to budget with the honeymoon. And we had a balance of around 25,000 to pay for the photography upon delivery of the photos and the videos. We had a honeymoon to go. We needed food. Remember, you had no furniture in the house, and I was okay with sitting on the floor for the first few as we tried to reorganize ourselves. We only had a bed and a little gas cooker, the 6 kg, and I was okay with starting life with you. This is the money that helps a couple to start off in life. MOG, I felt cheated. I was shocked to see how Prophetess was full of joy as she received the money. And I'm sure she noticed that I was not for the idea. But I knew that this was the beginning of a struggle on how we handle our finances. Off we drove to Nanyuki with the driver and the prophetess on board. After they drove back, you and I know everything that happened. How painful that season was to me. I thank God because to date, I believe you had also not played around with yourself. You are also a clean man. And I can take that to the bank because I believe you had not slept with a woman before. You remember how I cried for 2 nights straight, 2 other days straight? Remember how I used to request you for patience? On the 3rd day, you requested that we call Prophetess, who was our best couple. To date, I still don't know why we chose Prophetess as our best couple, yet she is your spiritual covering. She was your spiritual covering. So we called Prophetess, who had by now gone back to South Africa and had left her husband behind, saying that he was looking for money to travel as well. After calling her, we explained our issue to her. Remember what she accused me of? That was the most painful accusation in my life in regards to my dignity. She said I was beginning to show forth my true colors, that I was pretending to be a virgin. She said I had been raped as a child and my system had shut down and closed. She went ahead and suggested that I needed an operation that could open me up. MOG, you knew and you had seen that that was not true. I was in pain. And that day I cried to the Lord because you supported her suggestion. You said that I needed an operation. I felt lonely because this is not what I had kept myself for. You chose to ignore the pain I had and believed in such a lie from that woman. To date, it pains me to a point of asking God, was it worth it to keep myself pure? It's only a few days ago that I made peace with that question, when my therapist encouraged me and reminded me that I had kept myself for the Lord. When we went to see the doctor at Nanyuki Cottage Hospital, did you see how surprised he was? You insisted that you were there for an operation to make things easy. That was painful. That was painful. I remember the face of that doctor to date when he heard the reason that we needed an admission. So the doctor checked me, said this is just a young girl who is beginning life. There is nothing wrong with her. But MOG, you insisted that you needed an operation on me. So the doctor sent us to the lab for blood work. The nurses could not understand why we were there. To go through the knife to open me up. That was painful. After the blood work, we were sent home and we went back to the hotel, and you told me to be courageous because I'm facing the knife. And we went to bed. Nothing happened that night. And I cried to God and told him, you who has kept me this far, do something tonight because I cannot be operated on for the sacrifice I made in my youth. And God heard my prayer, as He always had. I felt it was answered, but I didn't know how. He woke me up in the morning. We went to the hospital. I was scared. And when we got to the hospital, the same doctor called us in, and he looked at me in the eye, and then he looked at you, and he said there was no operation, simply because I did not have enough blood. And that is how God answered my prayer. But from that day I knew I'm in trouble. Trouble because you would listen to the woman of God more than listening to your wife. And I knew I was in trouble. The honeymoon ended. You were frustrated. But you know that after the honeymoon, things happened. And I lost my virginity. We began life sitting on the floor. I was okay with it because I knew every couple begins somewhere. But every time you received money, it was always about prophetess, not your family's needs, your young family. Anytime you receive money from your partners, prophetess has no food, prophetess DSTV has not been paid, prophetess has a birthday party, and most of our money would go to South Africa. Most of this time we barely have something to eat. What kind of control is that? When I would request you to allow me to go and look for a job, any kind of job, you and prophetess always told me that I cannot work in any kind of job since we are international ministers. Which international minister rises without hard work? Which international minister sits down expecting manna to fall from heaven and feed his family? Whenever I could sit you down, you always silenced me with the verse, "Touch not my anointed, and do my prophets no harm." And then you could go and share our discussion with prophetess. You remember you had a car that partner A had sold into your ministry to help you navigate preaching the gospel. Out of nowhere, you began saying that you would be selling the car and sold the money to prophetess. MOG, God had given you that car to push you somewhere. You forced me to accompany you to one of the cities to do a money transfer to South Africa. 500,000 shillings. This is a family without, the wife is not working, the husband is not working. We were struggling to have food. And here we are transferring 500,000 shillings to prophetess. This is a car that God had given you to preach the gospel. And even after selling it, part of that would have begun a business for your family. But you said that God has said, and 500,000 was transferred. And this time we are sitting on the floor. You could have spared at least 100,000 shillings to settle your family. And I knew I'm in trouble. I started crying out because I had said no to Daddy. I had rejected my family. I had ignored all their warnings that I did not know you too well. Remember, prophetess told you that after sewing that car, we could not lack anything. Yet that evening, we had no food. I never blamed God for lack. I began to blame you because I felt God had done everything, even up to that point. Prophetess began asking you to tell partner A, the partner who had sold that ministry car. She asked you to tell her to begin sowing 20% of her income into your ministry. As much as the money would be helpful to us. Remember, I told you that this was not biblical. Where does the Bible say that you sow 20% of your income? I always told you it would not end well with partner A. You kept going, exploiting the poor soul. And yet she was very obedient because she believed in God even for her life. Every time you told prophetess that partner A had sent money, she would start naming her financial challenges. She would say they have no food. She would say their rent was due. She would say DSTV. She would say her children have birthday parties. I mean, at the end of the day, you could only pay rent and the rest of the needs were for me to meet through my music ministry. It pains me to remember that you people refused me to look for work. You told me never to look for a job because mine was to support you. October of that year, we got married. You both requested partner A to sponsor our trip to South Africa to go and visit prophetess. And partner A gave a whooping 350,000 for a trip that was completely unnecessary. Again, this is money that you could have used to improve yourself. Prophetess asked you to tell partner A that she needed food for the many guests that she was hosting in her mansion. And off we went. I don't know how much you sent her. Remember how she used to ask you for money to run basic needs even while we were in South Africa. Yet I was requesting you for simple money, even to go to salon and do my hair while we were there. And you would tell me, let us honor the woman of God first. Remember how partner A transferred to you some 250,000 shillings while we were in South Africa. You received the money. You did not inform your wife. You transferred it into prophetess' hands. And you only told me about it once you had nothing. Who does that, emoji? Who transfers money to a person that is of authority without first informing his wife? All along you claimed that God had instructed you to do it. Which God is this that goes beyond a couple's union and blesses decisions made by one party? Remember how you preached in 2 different churches and received finances. And then prophetess starts claiming that you needed to give her that money as your first fruit for visiting South Africa. Again, you did it without consulting with your wife. To you, spiritual decisions did not require my input. I felt lost. I felt broken. Because I did not have family at this point. I had rejected them. I had rejected their advices. I had rejected everything they tried to tell me, as they claimed that I did not know you well. That trip to South Africa was toxic. It was a toxic trip. because I could see how people living together in that house were just going against each other. Through prophetess, she would call one person to her room, tell this person one thing, call the other person, tell them a different thing. And at the end of that trip, everybody that was hosted in that house, they were not in good terms with each other. It is well. Friends, we will continue in the next episode. Thank you for watching.